So when the Prophet Muhammad passed away, the entire Arabian Peninsula was at a crossroads. I mean, the one person who united everyone was gone, and this brand new nation was facing its very first, and maybe its most important test. From that single moment, two completely different stories began to unfold. One was a story of unity, and the other, a story of pure deception. So let's dive into these two very different paths. And that's the question, isn't it? It's the question that was hanging in the air from the deserts in the south all the way to the plains in the north. When that central, charismatic leader is gone, what actually keeps a people together? Is it just a shared hunger for power? Or is it something deeper, like a real commitment to a set of shared principles?
Okay, so our first story takes us down south, to Yemen. Now, to really get how amazing this transformation was, you have to picture what it was like before. The era known as the Jahiliyyah, the Age of Ignorance, was all about constant tribal warfare. Your loyalty was to your family, your bloodline, period, not to some state or some bigger idea. So when the Prophet died, this whole region could have just blown up. But instead, it did the exact opposite. It became a shining example of stability.
Now this, right here, this is the core of the change. Yemen basically threw out the old system of tribalism, where your last name and your tribe's muscle were all that mattered. In its place, they built a new kind of meritocracy. Leadership was now something you earned through your character, through your faith, your sincerity, your good deeds. I mean, for that time and place, that was absolutely revolutionary.
And this is where you see the results in action. The new state wasn't just carved up along the old, messy tribal lines. No, it was organized into these logical, administrative regions, all reporting back to the central government in Medina. And the tribe, which used to be the center of everything, was given a new job. It became a military unit serving the state, not a little kingdom of its own. That's the key, right there. They systematically replaced a system of pure chaos with one built on principle and order, and that's why it worked. But while Yemen was pulling together based on these new principles, a completely different story was taking shape up north. And it all starts with this one delegation that just completely missed the point, and in doing so, taught a lesson that would define the entire conflict to come. Just try to picture this scene. A group from the Banu Asad tribe rolls into Medina. But they don't come in with any humility like you'd expect from new converts. No, they strut in, with this air of superiority, like their acceptance of Islam isn't an act of faith, but some kind of political deal they're making, as if they're doing everyone else a huge favor.
Just listen to the way they talk. They're basically saying, hey, look what we did for you. We came all this way, we accepted your message, and you didn't even have to send a messenger to convince us. You kind of owe us one. The self-importance is just dripping off of every word.
And boom, the divine response comes down, right there in the Quran. It's this powerful, direct course correction. It makes it crystal clear. Faith is not a gift you give to some leader. It's not a bargaining chip to get more status. It's a gift from God to you. The guidance itself is the favor, and there's only one condition that makes it real: sincerity, if you should be truthful.
So it all comes down to this one word: sincerity. This word becomes the lens, the filter, that you have to look at everything else through. It's the bright line separating the community builders down in Yemen from the power-hungry opportunists who are about to crawl out of the woodwork from this exact same tribe. A tribe that was about to produce a man who was the walking, talking opposite of sincerity.
And that, of course, brings us to the main guy in this part of the story, Tulayhah al-Asadi. He was actually part of that arrogant delegation, and after the Prophet died, he saw a power vacuum and decided, you know what, I'm going to fill it. And he did it by twisting the whole idea of prophethood into a tool to grab power. So Tulayhah had this playbook, right? Simple, but it worked. Step 1, declare yourself a prophet. Step 2, pull off some cheap parlor trick, like telling his thirsty followers exactly where to dig for water, something he probably knew about the whole time. But look at step 3. That's the real giveaway. He got rid of prostration in prayer. Think about that. He literally took the most humble part of the prayer, bowing down to God, and just got rid of it. That tells you everything. This was all about ego, and it ended with these big, grand promises of building an empire. Meanwhile, back in Medina, the new Caliph, Abu Bakr, he saw what was happening. He knew this wasn't just some political squabble. This was like a spiritual cancer, and it was threatening the very foundation of the entire community. A response had to come, and it had to be decisive. To lead the army, Abu Bakr chose the legendary general Khalid ibn al-Waleed. And he didn't just appoint him. He reminded everybody of the title the Prophet himself had given Khalid, Sayf Allah, the sword of Allah. So this wasn't just Abu Bakr picking a general. It was him saying, we're sending the sword of Allah. It framed the whole thing as a sacred mission.
And so the stage is set. The army of sincerity marches out from Medina towards a place called Buzakhah. They weren't just going to fight another army, they were marching to confront a lie that was poisoning people's hearts.
All right, so this is it. The big showdown. But this battle wasn't going to be decided by swords and spears alone. Oh no, it was going to be decided by the truth, as Tulayhah's entire fraudulent operation was about to unravel right there on the battlefield in the most spectacular way.
So, as the fighting is raging, Tulayhah's top commander, a guy named Yemeni, starts getting desperate. He runs over to Tulayhah, who's all wrapped up in a cloak, putting on a show like he's getting a revelation. He asks him, "Has the angel Gabriel come to you with any instructions?" And Tulayhah, totally caught off guard, just says, "No."
So Yemeni goes back into the fight, but things are going badly. He comes running back again, even more panicked this time. "Anything yet? Has Gabriel shown up?" And again, the same answer. No. You can just feel the desperation, can't you? Their leader, their so-called prophet, has got nothing. A third time, Yemeni comes back, his forces on the verge of collapse. He's had it. He demands an answer. Finally backed into a corner, Tulayhah caves. "Yes," he says.
So Yemeni's like, "Okay, what did he say?" And this is the best Tulayhah can come up with on the spot. It's so weak, so vague, it means absolutely nothing. You'll have a big battle, and there will be an outcome. I mean, it's the kind of thing a fortune cookie would say.
And right there, in that instant, the whole house of cards just collapses. Yemeni sees right through the ridiculous lie. He actually throws the fake prophecy right back in Tulayhah's face, saying, "Oh, I'm sure we'll have an outcome we'll never forget, all right. We're about to get crushed." And with that, he turns to his own tribesmen and yells for a full retreat. The Khan was over. And just like that, it was a total collapse. The second that fraudulent foundation was exposed, the whole army just melted away. And Tulayhah, the great prophet of ambition, yeah, he had a horse ready and waiting. He and his wife took off and fled to Syria, leaving all his followers to deal with the mess. And for the people who were left behind, the terms of surrender from Abu Bakr were about more than just military defeat. Sure, they lost their weapons, their status. But the most crushing part was this. They had to stand up and publicly admit that their own dead had died for a lie and were in hell, while the Muslims they killed were martyrs in paradise. It was a humiliating but absolutely necessary public lesson about the price you pay for choosing deception over sincerity. Which brings us all the way back to that first big question. In the end, what really holds a nation together? The tale of Yemen and the story of Tulayhah give us a really powerful answer. What this story really shows us is that real, lasting strength doesn't come from some charismatic guy who promises you the world. It comes from a community, a people, bound together by something real, a sincere and humble search for truth.